all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Thank you for tuning in today at Desertwood Days. I am your host, Kathy Blaze, and today I am here with Mr. Bruce Nelson. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Kathy, this is a good little gig you got going here.
Thank you. I see you got the memo today.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I checked the email, make sure you do the industry standard.
Yeah.
Black with jeans, back in the day, this was the standard. So yeah,
Wonderful.
You looking good, you're looking sharp.
Thank you. So Bruce, you are an actor, filmmaker, and a published author.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's me. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's my gig.
Look, those are starting credits, starting titles right now. I know you got a lot more life in you and a lot more to do.
Yeah, that's the beginning of it, though.
Yeah.
Trying to do those triple threat, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, that's my game.
Right. So we want to start off with the acting, okay? Because for a lot of us, that's where it started. It starts. I mean, we act and then we get into other things.
Yeah.
When did you get into acting?
High school, I was doing stuff.
Oh, okay.
I knew then I wanted to be an actor or a dancer or something. I knew that. But thinking about it, I thought about that when I looked at that question. Really, it was like the second grade. Second grade in elementary school, I was chose to sing the song Happy Wanderer. I had a straw hat and a fishing pole.
I can see that.
That was the beginning. And my mom,
you know what it took me back to? I thought of Sounders.
Oh, yes, that's it. And my mom was so proud. I remember that was like, okay, this is interesting. People are watching, they're looking, going, hey, look at this kid, he's cute, So probably way back there. But then high school kind of cemented in to go what I'm going to kind of do. So yeah, started in high school. I used to do the announcements, daily announcements back in the day, every day. Trying to do the Cosby Kids and that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I even did stand up in high school.
Oh,
stand up, like not like formally, but just like around the campus, never on stage. And I wrote a thing called the 10 Jive Steps. I don't know where they came from. So yeah, I was doing it in high school, class clown kind of thing. But then I was an athlete as well.
And that is something I talk about. A lot of times we don't remember where it started from until we sit down and think, I did this when I was 6, and it starts way back. We didn't just fall on this. Yeah. It didn't just come to us all of a sudden. I'm funny, or I love being the class clown, even as an old person.
Yeah, you're
just still there. Cracking jokes,
still trying to be funny. Well, and singing was more me and my buddies. We were in our neighborhood. There was these group of girls that went to this church, and we were like, we need to sing in the choir.
Oh my goodness.
So we went to the back and say, we want to sing.
Young folks, y'all didn't start nothing. They've been doing this way back. That's how they got the girls getting in the choir, singing, even though they knew they couldn't sing and didn't want to sing.
We got it in there. It's like, Pastor, we really want to sing. So brother should come on in. We're like, okay, let's. So yeah.
Pastor knew what y'all was up to.
Yeah, that was the singing thing. And that actually turned out I could actually sing. But that we didn't, it wasn't the goal. That
wasn't your thing.
The goal wasn't to sing. But it was great hearing those songs.
Right.
So I remember those songs. So yeah, I guess it starts way back in those early days.
Was there something that inspired you? Was it other family members or something that inspired you to want to get into
acting was definitely watching Sidney Poitier films.
Oh, okay.
That was like, okay, this guy was so powerful. He was so amazing. He was so honest. He was so real, so believable. Right. Watching those early films, watching Sidney, that was definitely great.
You know what I believe too, even though we have some amazing actors today, but we should always go back and watch some of those old films, some of those actors back in the day. Yeah. Like a Sidney Poitier, who am I trying to
Paul
think
Robeson.
of? Paul Robeson. I was trying to think
Harry Belafonte,
female actor.
Cicely Tyson.
Yes, Cicely Tyson, who was who I was trying to. Those are some powerful actors.
Yeah. And Paul Robeson, even I remember reading about him in high school, stuff that he was doing. And dance wise, it was Donald McHale's piece called "Rainbow Around My Shoulder." He had all these men dancing, vying for this one woman, and they were so powerful. I'd never seen dance like that before. stuff we were doing, kind of thing.
Right.
That's concert dancing, and I started dancing, much later than that. But yeah, going back, watching those early performers definitely made a difference. I said, you know what, that's something you can do, and there's more
Right.
to it than just shaking and grinding.
Right.
There's more to it than just playing a junkie. There's a lot
Right.
more to the work in the end.
And you know what, too, when you think that we didn't think back then when we were watching those movies that these people were telling stories. We didn't really, a lot of us, and maybe you did, but a lot of us didn't think that this was actually someone telling a story about what was going on and how life was back then.
Yeah.
We just thought it was a movie that we enjoyed watching.
Well, for me, like I grew up in a segregated community in Mesa. I grew up in Mesa, Arizona. And so I would see those old movies. And like when I was a kid, they used to baptize people in the canal. And I remember seeing that stuff. And then we'd laugh because, this weekend
that was going to
they
be
would
happening.
at the canal. So it was kind of like, that's kind of dating me. But so, yeah, for me, it was more than that. I got the gist. I understood the stories right away. Sounder, you mentioned that.
Yes.
That one. And Miss Cecily Tyson, Miss Jane Pittman.
Yeah.
I remember that film came on. That was just like, we knew people.
And
like
for
that.
you young people, if you don't know a lot of this terminology, these names, you need to go and look these up. This is history.
Yes.
I mean, this is something that should never be forgotten.
Got to remember those days. But I remember watching that film, and we had women in my neighborhood like her.
Yes.
Just like her, sounded like her, moved like her. So it was like,
we
okay,
all
I know
did.
this. Yeah.
I mean, and they all knew everyone. She was the grandma that knew every child in the neighborhood.
Yep. That's how it worked. And if you weren't acting right,
she was going to let somebody
they'd
know.
let you know.
She's going to take care of you first and then let your mama know.
Yes, and they would tell you that.
So I want to move on to, because you create a lot of content that's culturally diverse. What got you started in that area?
The first thing I did, my first documentary is called Northtown. And my community in Mesa, Arizona is called Washington Escobedo Community. And when the light rail was coming to Mesa, I thought...
You speak very fast. Can you repeat the name?
Washington Escobedo.
Okay.
It's kind of a tough one to catch away. But when the light rail was coming through, I thought our neighborhood's going to be forgotten. So I wrote a grant to do an exhibit first.
Okay.
Got the money, and I thought, well, I'll do a documentary about my community. And we called it Northtown. They called it other names. They weren't as flattering.
So when you say Mesa, what area in Mesa? I mean, give me the
boundaries would be University, Center Street, Brown Road, and Mesa Drive.
Okay, that's pretty much like downtown Mesa, isn't it?
Yes, close to downtown. We were just north of the main town site.
Okay.
That's how we got the name Northtown.
Okay.
But that was my first saying, I want to reflect these stories and tell these stories about these folks in the community because we're not hearing them.
Right.
So we got the grant, and I thought, well, if we can get a 10, 15-minute documentary, I'll be happy with that. It's 65 minutes.
You know what? I'm glad that you're speaking and creating this documentary. I got to tell you, I'm a native of Arizona, and I tell you, growing up, I didn't know there were Black folks in Mesa. Look, I only knew about Phoenix. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That we're so segregated. We don't know that we have people in other areas in Arizona. So
yeah, we're always kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I understand. I had family in Okima.
Okay.
Over in Phoenix. But yeah, Mesa's kind of forgotten. But that was the beginning of it. I wanted to tell those folks' stories on a higher level. So everything that I do right now is centered around that. Just like my current documentary. It's called Segregation and Determination, Veterans of Washington Escobedo.
Okay. So I want to go back to what you were working on. So did the light rail affect your area? In the Escobedo area?
It got close to us, and right there at Mesa Drive and Main Street is a stop, one of the stops. And artists were submitting ideas on what should be at those stops. And there was a young lady, I can't think of her name, it'll come to me in a second. She wanted to do stories.
Okay.
And she had heard about our community, we'd been meeting. So she came to some meetings, and I met her, and I said, well, I can introduce you to lots of different folks. So right there on that corner, she created like a storybook.
Okay.
And she interviewed probably 15, 20 different people, African Americans, Latino, Native American, Japanese American. And they would tell her stories about them growing up in Mesa. So they printed it in like a book. And you can go right down there and you can read those stories. And so that influenced us a bit. It's like, that's talking about our neighborhood. And so people want to be close to the downtown. And so now people are
Right.
looking at how can we get down there. So it did affect us in that sense.
I do remember Mesa had some things going on, and I don't, and I want, and the reason why I'm bringing this up because I want to know if this is during the time when you're working on your project. When there was a time where Mesa wasn't allowing MLK to be, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Were is that something that you guys were going working on your projects during that time, or what was going on with you guys during that time?
I was not doing stuff in Mesa. I was living in LA when that happened.
Oh,
Ed
okay.
Meekum was the governor, I think, and he
Oh,
pulled the MLK celebration out, and then
yes,
Mesa, pulled it back, and so they
yeah.
had some challenges, and finally, the East Valley or Mesa, LA, MLK Mesa East Valley,
Mm,
they pushed and brought it back.
okay.
They're not around anymore, but yeah, we had a struggle there. They didn't want to
Right.
celebrate MLK Day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, you you're working on a film called Raglan Tales.
Raglan Tales.
Raglan Tales. Tell me about that name.
Raglan Tales, that's my grandmother's name. And so I wrote a collection of short stories called Porch Stories. And I
Okay.
took one of those stories and I turned it into a short film.
Um, finish telling us about why you created that and how it went to the film version.
So Raglan Tales, the book is called Porch Stories.
Okay.
And so I was at a workshop, free workshop, talking about writing and publishing and how that looks. And I had written two of them. One was a poem.
Okay.
And I told it to the publisher. She said, if you finish those stories, I'll publish it. So I went home, took the whole summer, wrote 15 stories, edited, so published. And it's out there on Amazon. It's called Porch Stories. And from that, I turned one of them to a short film, which is Raglan Tales.
Okay.
And Raglan Tales, that's my grandmother's name.
Was that?
And they're calling me
Hold on
again.
a second. Interruption.
Sorry about that. You heard it too, right?
Yes.
That comes next door. Let's come out and close the door. So, okay, I think he came out of the office next door.
Oh.
We're gonna close that door. See.
Good
All right, I'm
choice.
sorry.
That's all right.
So, want to pick back up where we were?
Sure. Okay, so Raglan Tales.
Okay.
Raglan Tales, the short story is called Grandma Raglan.
Oh,
And so I took her name and turned it into a short story. And then the film, it's about, I guess it's around 12 and a half minutes. And it's in the Mesa International Film Festival. They haven't put out the schedule yet when it's coming, but it's December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay.
And they'll be putting out a schedule once it's shown. And it got into about 25 film festivals.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. We got a couple of awards. I think in Europe we got something from Italy, special mention or something. I don't remember. So yeah, that film, it's about these kids are on their way home. And they run into some guys at the park and they're talking to them about it. And one old guy says, has your grandpa ever told you about the hanging man? She goes, what are you talking about? I have no idea. She goes, well, when you go home, you ask him. And they just kind of shrug him off and they go home and they go there and grandma's there and then they start to ask them and they make the discovery about the hanging man. It's a great little short film.
So you brought some media, so we're gonna. Well, no, you didn't. We
A
have
poster.
a poster of it up.
Film Festival, you can see some of the laurels that we had. It premiered at the Phoenix Film Festival. That's where it was first.
Okay.
And so that's kind of cool. And now it's at the Black Hollywood Resource Center. It's online there, streaming.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we're going to show it. I'm thinking we're probably going to be on the 4th of the film festival. I'm thinking we're going to be on that Friday. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm really proud of it. And those kids have all grown up because the film is about 3 or 4 years old now.
When you say chapter 3, what does that mean, chapter 3?
So I'm turning the entire book into a collection of short films.
Okay.
And so this was chapter 3. We just grabbed that number.
Okay.
It doesn't kind of start in sequence. We just sort of 3 would be interesting.
Oh.
So we said 3. But there are going to be 10 altogether.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. I love that. I love that. May I ask, is Grandma still alive?
Grandma passed away. She was 104. She passed away.
Oh. Yeah. She lived a long life.
She lived a long time.
Was she alive when you created
She was not. She was not here when we did this. but she was born like 1892 or something,
Oh,
and she lived through 1900. She lived into the 2000s,
wonderful.
and
She
just
lived a long time.
lived a long 103.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, she passed away unfortunately.
Right. You also created a documentary for veterans. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was doing research. I'd gotten a photograph from my uncle, and he gave me the picture, and he said to me that it was his grandfather.
Mm.
And so I stood there and I'm looking at it, and I thought, well, if he's your grandfather, it must be something to me.
Right.
But he got quiet. So, when the old folks stopped talking, I didn't push it. I
Right.
left it alone.
Yeah. Something he don't want you to know.
It's something I was like, okay. So I kept the picture for a long time. And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, you know this photograph? She couldn't remember. Finally went to one of my aunts, and she said, oh, before I could even, she told, his name was Grandpa Davis. He was a Buffalo soldier. His mom was a slave. They took her from Madagascar. Her name was Pleasant Polk. I was like, how do I not know this? All this.
Right.
So she told me that story. So I started researching veterans. And I thought, what other veterans are there in my neighborhood,
Mm.
in this segregated community? And so as I did the research, I did a exhibit at the library first. And then I kept looking at just some amazing stories. And so now we've got a documentary we're working on. We're going to shoot one more day, but we do have a trailer.
Okay. And what's the name of the documentary?
It's a long name. It's called Segregation and Determination, Veterans of Washington Escobedo.
Okay, so you brought some media for us to.
Yeah, I think we got a trailer.
Yeah, so let's take a look
Pump
at
up the
it.
trailer.
All right.
My dad was a military man. He took to the military like a duck to water.
When you come time for you to train, you just march around the whole facility with a big gun. That's like protecting the air. That's part of your training. Yeah, that's what I didn't like. But you had to do what you had to do,
I think my dad came back with PTSD that they knew nothing about then. He had a lot of issues with his drinking after he came back.
The military, it seems like, was where he kind of blossomed. He really took to military life. He was good at it. I talked to one of my uncles who was in the military. He was a ranger at the same time my dad was in the service. He said at that time, it was amazing how rapidly my father moved through the ranks, being a minority. He said, you just didn't see that.
He was part of the segregated troops with the black soldiers and the Mexican soldiers.
When I got my papers to go to service, that's the first time I ever seen my dad cry.
I think it affected him so much that he just didn't like, talking about it.
It was a shock, when the president called. I could not believe it.
She was in such shock. She said, I felt so bad because I called him Mr. Obama instead of Mr. President when I talked to him. And she said, I felt so bad about that after I hung up the phone. I said, I'm sure he understood, Mother.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
That is awesome. I think back of some of my dad uncles that were in the military, and I've been doing my ancestry and just learning a lot about my family and where they came from and things that I didn't know. So it was just really awesome to see that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Mr. Boyd in that shot, the old black guy, he turned 99.
He looked good for 99.
He turned 99. He's still around. I saw him at the Veterans Parade just recently.
Oh,
And he had fallen down and hurt himself, but he's good now.
Okay.
And he had parked his car and walked 4 blocks to the parade. Still getting around. So it was great to see him. And we also have an exhibit that goes with that.
Yeah,
with
and that was one of my questions. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that because I think that's an awesome thing too. That before I get to talk about it, I want you to talk about
Sure.
it.
So what I do is every time I create a documentary, I try to create an exhibit as well. And so the Veterans exhibit, we just showed it at the Mesa Veterans Resource Center, which was sponsored by Mesa United Way, and it was there for a week.
Okay.
And we're going to be moving it to the Mesa Library for Black History Month, probably.
Okay.
And so it's got about 56, 57 storyboards.
Mm.
We've got some Buffalo Soldier uniforms and a very unique looking Buffalo Soldier uniform. And you got to come and see it.
Mhm.
Most of the time when you see them, it's the light gray, or
Right.
the blue, the dark blue, the light blue. This one we actually found, it's a khaki tan,
Hmm.
and it has a Buffalo Soldier patch on it,
Oh.
which I'd never seen before. You see them in all the pictures. They never have this patch, but this one we found. It's a replica of one that I saw that's in the library, in a museum back east. So yeah, the exhibit does really well. People really like it. Some great stories that we tell about these folks. So every time we do a documentary, I try to create an exhibit that goes with it.
Did I read something that you also rent them out to different places that would want to have the displays?
Yes, we're talking with the Arizona Heritage Center Museum right now
Oh,
about one of the exhibits. They're going to feature, probably would maybe put it in the lobby. We're talking about putting it in the lobby for Black History Month.
I think that's an awesome thing.
So yeah, so they're available for rental. We'll have a collection of black dolls. I have over 150 black dolls.
So where do you get all your content? Do you have people that donate items if they find them, or have some that they just feel like
I just
blessing
sort of,
you with?
I just sort of look at something and it sort of sparks my interest. The
Mhm.
veterans is because of my great grandfather.
Sure.
The black dolls, I was collecting them for my niece, and then the next thing you know, I started researching them and finding out about them. So now I have a exhibit about them. So whatever is kind of percolating in my brain is kind of what I put together.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on the premiere at Mesa. Is it Mesa? I'm sorry.
It's the Mesa International Film
Mesa.
Festival. This is
Okay.
the second year. COVID hit after the first year, and it kept getting pushed back and pushed back. So this is the second year. Thank you. Yeah, Raglan will be showing there. Like I said, probably on that Friday, which the schedule will
Okay.
come out soon. But
Wonderful.
it's going to be great to see it. People can come out.
Yes.
And I'm going to be giving tickets for veterans for free. So
Okay.
reach out to me here and we'll get some to you.
Where can our audience find you?
You can find me on my website, nebproductions.com. Bruce Nelson. Hit me there. Let me know what's going on. I'd love to talk to you.
Easy to find. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure.
Have a good time.
And thank you for joining us today here at Desertwood Days. And we will catch you next time.